Hi, I'm Katie from Foden Property, and this is Jen, who is our sales manager. And today we thought we'd talk to you a little bit about all the press that's talking about the market conditions and what we think is happening, where we think it might go. So I'm going to introduce Jen.
Hi.
So Jen, what's happening?
Well,
are we going to see a housing crash?
I don't think so. I think it's unlikely that we're going to actually see a crash. There's definitely been changes in the market which 100% needed to happen. You know, the last couple of years with COVID and the stamp duty holiday, you know, it really created a volatile market that was never going to last. It couldn't, it was unsustainable. Values reached such a high level at some points last year that...
We kept thinking it was going to stop, didn't we?
Absolutely. We were like, okay, it's going to slow down. And it went up again.
Yeah.
And it's going to slow down. And it went up again. It had to sort of start to level out. There had to be some adjustments, which I think is definitely what we see now. I think the market has paused for breath. I don't think it's stopped. I don't think it's going to crash. The bottom's not going to fall out. But I think everybody does need to be a little bit more realistic about values, about what to expect for their properties. It's also important to point out, you know, that actually, yes, there's been an adjustment in figures, in values over the last sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 months. However, the values are still much higher than they were pre-COVID.
Absolutely, yeah.
So literally, actually, it's still a positive. Yes, you might have dropped a couple of percent from last year. You might have dropped, in your mind, 10% from last year. And also, you know, majority of sellers are actually buying in the same market.
Yeah.
So what you feel that you might be losing on your sale, you're gaining on your purchase.
And also, is it real? Because obviously we're talking about asking prices, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So the asking prices have gone up and up and up and up and up. So is it the case, do you think, that the asking prices have actually just gone beyond where they should be?
Definitely, and have...
So the drop isn't real,
It's
just
not real,
on asking
exactly
prices.
right. So the recent stats actually at the moment are that the UK housing market, the properties that are on the market at the moment, are potentially up to 30% overvalued.
Right.
You know, we're seeing day in, day out. I go to people's houses and do valuations. I always come up against at least 2 or 3 agents, always. Yeah. The vendors, not all, but still quite a high percentage of sellers are still looking at unrealistic prices.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what I'm finding is I'm coming against other agents that are actually supporting those higher values.
Yeah.
So as much as we all want to get the listing, my job is, yes, to get the listing. My job is to get you as much money for your property as possible. Yeah. But it's also my job, you know, I've got a duty of care to you as my client or my potential client at this point to give you my advice based on evidence.
Well, we have to assume, don't we, that when you're sat in somebody's living room, you're there because they actually want to sell their house.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So you could just tell them whatever they want to hear, or you can tell them the truth based on evidence, supported by the market, and they then make a choice, don't they? They then make a choice. They might want to try it a little bit higher, not necessarily our advice, and I think that it's very easy for vendors sometimes to feel offended when you're telling them what they don't want to hear, especially when other agents may or may not have already told them a different figure.
Yeah, exactly. So I arrive to somebody's house and they've already got a figure in their mind because they've already met another agent.
Yeah.
The advice that I give is 100% based on fact, evidence. Obviously, there's also that bit of experience and gut feeling that goes with it.
Experience goes a really long way, doesn't
exactly. But if they've already got a figure in their mind, it's difficult for me to make my point here and for them to believe it.
Yeah.
If they've already got that figure in. So I always go armed with evidence. You know, this is what's happening with the market, this is what's happening, this is comparable evidence for your property.
Yeah.
Because also really important part of this is, again, the market went so high last year that lenders have gone, okay, you've had your fun, you know, and they just literally started downvaluing because there was no evidence to suggest that that property was worth.
And that is more of a problem, isn't it? If you've bought your onward, you've chosen your onward, you've set all your sights on everything, you've done all your finances based on that, and actually someone's been willing to pay potentially an overcooked price.
Yeah.
And then you've now got a massive problem because everything's now on its head, and you've got to try and either negotiate the chain or you can't buy what you've got your heart set on.
Exactly that. So it's always better to know up front, first and foremost, a realistic price point for your property, to know that you are going to see it from start to finish and you can complete the chain.
And I think that's something we've always actually been really proud of, isn't it? I mean, you're known for being very realistic with your prices. The surveyors come to us for comparables because we're realistic, you're educated and you do the research and you put in the work before you sit in their lounge.
Yeah.
So you're not just picking a figure off the top of your head or sat there saying, which we know that some agents occasionally do, is sit there and say, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Exactly. And I to be fair, I actually can't believe how many times I am hearing that from sellers. They're telling me that a certain agent has gone in and they said, what do I want? And I'm like, well, you know, if you know what you want, you don't need them.
No.
It's that. It's literally, of course, it's my job to give you as much money as possible, but am I going to do that, or am I going to sign you up, let you sign your life away, and then just keep reducing the price every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think the prices are still too high?
Yeah, I think in certain cases, I think, you know, people's perception is definitely starting to move now. They are watching the news, they are listening to things, and they are becoming a little bit more realistic. But there still definitely needs to be movement there.
Well, there's hope, isn't there? Because although you've watched the news, you hope it doesn't apply to you.
Well, of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't, because you've got the best plot and the best garden.
Absolutely.
Exactly, absolutely. But definitely what we're seeing at the moment is more offers than we've ever seen before. So the last couple of years we were selling at asking price or over asking price in many cases.
Bidders.
Yeah, exactly. Which we're just not seeing anymore. We are seeing lower offers coming in on properties, some of them which are substantially lower than we would have hoped. But actually, in fairness, we're still managing to negotiate those to an agreeable level to make our clients' onward purchase work for them and make sense. So we're still confident, to be honest. We're still confident. It's good.
Good. And you've mentioned first-time buyers.
Yeah.
Are they still around?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be fair, it's a great time for first-time buyers at the moment, because what they haven't got that they had for the last couple of years is a race to the finish line. You know, one property was coming on, there was 10 buyers for each one.
Yeah.
The prices just they outpriced them from the market, basically. And now first-time buyers, because it's a little bit slower, obviously this introduction of the 100% mortgages, which is going to work for so many people, finally certain lenders have actually started realising that people that are paying high rents, this can be taken into account, will be taken into account.
I mean, the stats are scary in the sense that I read something yesterday that said that the average house price is 10.6 times income.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's
scary.
Staggering.
It is scary.
And I was reading something else the other day saying that we have got... it used to be the case that your rent or your mortgage was about 20% of your income, and now it's more like 46%.
Yeah, which is huge. It's absolutely massive. But also on that same point, rental figures, arguably at the moment, are actually higher than mortgage repayments.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
You know, so if somebody's been in a rental property paying £800 a month, they've been there for 3 years, they've always paid on time. That's never been before taken into account by lenders.
No.
And they're starting to do that now, which is a massive bonus.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
it's way, it's long overdue.
Because this open banking thing that the lenders are starting to do now kind of gives an idea of actual affordability that isn't
absolutely.
necessarily on paper. You tick this box and your income equals this. There's actually an affordability, because you can have a good income, but you can also have loads of outgoings.
Exactly that. Absolutely, absolutely. But so yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a positive.
What about investors? Where are they?
They're still about, to be fair. You know, they are still around. Obviously, that side of things has slowed down as well, as
Yeah.
you would expect. You know, the changes in mortgage rates is going to have a massive effect on a majority of landlords.
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because we keep seeing this, like yesterday, all over the press. Mortgages were pulled. The last 2 days, mortgages, products have just been pulled. Lenders have stopped lending to new buyers. And then today I actually noticed them saying, a whole new product range has been launched. And we're all just like,
Exactly
for goodness
that.
sake.
Exactly that. And we've seen this before. We've seen this, you know, just at the start of COVID, all the mortgage products were pulled. Then all of a sudden they're dwindling back on. And I think when they're pulling these products, I'm hoping they're pulling the products and they're just going to amend them and put a new product out.
But
you
it
know?
is undoubtedly the case that they are pushing these interest rates rises
Yeah.
onto landlords more than any other category of buyer, I would suggest.
Absolutely, which makes no sense, to be honest, because as we discussed in the previous podcast, we
Yeah.
need we need more rental properties.
We do, yeah.
Rarely you see a property in our area. We can obviously only talk for our areas. Rarely you see an empty rental property.
No.
There's not enough properties out there, so it's definitely still a good time to buy. And also, you know, let's not forget, not all investors need to raise a mortgage.
No, that's it, isn't it?
And properties definitely, your cash is definitely better off in property than it is in the bank.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And also the rents are high. So
Exactly.
hopefully that kind of starts to balance out. But what it will do is continue to drive up the rents.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in short, has there been a change in price? Yeah. Has there been a change in pace? Absolutely. Are we confident? Yes. My advice is be realistic, be patient, wait that little bit longer, and you will definitely sell and move on to your next new home.